This anime begins by showing a young man named Mochizuki Toya, who is meeting with a god in a room-like place floating in the sky. God deliberately summoned him because one day, when God made some lightning, the lightning he made accidentally hit Toya, causing him to die. Because of that, God felt very guilty, and as an apology, he offered Toya to be resurrected to another world. Hearing this, Toya accepted the offer from God. After that, God asked if he wanted anything else when he woke up later. Hearing that offer, Toya requested that he could use his smartphone while in another world. Then God agrees and grants his wish, but he cannot contact anyone from his previous life with his smartphone. Instead, God gave him some power so he wouldn't die so easily when he was in another world. Long story short, Toya was finally resurrected to another world. Soon after, God called him and said he could use the Maps application on his smartphone to show the way to the nearest town. When Toya was on his way, he accidentally met a man named Zanuck, who looked very interested in his clothes. Because of that, Zanuck intended to buy Toya's clothes and invited Toya to ride in his horse-drawn carriage. When they arrived in town, he took Toya to his clothing shop. He bought Toya's clothes at very high prices because he was impressed with the clothes that Toya wore. After that, Zanuck gave Toya some new clothes to wear. Afterward, he asked Zanuck where he could get lodging. Zanuck then showed the way to the inn in the city. The inn was called the Silver Moon Inn. When Toya was walking towards the inn, he saw two men arguing with two girls in an alley. They were Elze and Lindsay. They were twins. They turned out at just doing a mission from the two men. The mission was to find a crystal horn from a deer. Initially, Elze and Lindsay were promised 1 gold coin for the horn, but the two men only paid them 1 silver coin, so they did not accept that and wanted to fight against the two men. Soon after, Toya tried to intervene, but the two men attacked him instead. Fortunately, he could easily defeat them, thanks to the power that God had given him. In exchange for the crystal horn, Toya paid 1 gold coin to Elze and Lindsay. Then they thanked Toya for helping them, and it turned out that they were staying at the Silver Moon Inn, where he was going. Therefore, they escorted him to the inn. When he arrived, Toya booked a room for the next month. The next day, Toya went along with Elze and Lindsay to the Adventurers Guild to register for a job. After completing registration, they undertook a mission to eradicate 5 one-horned wolves. The scene then changed, showing Toya, Elze, and Lindsay in the forest and preparing to fight against the one-horned wolves. They can trounce the one-horned wolves, so their first mission is successfully completed and rewarded. After that, Toya asks Elze and Lindsay to teach him how to use magic, but Lindsay says that Toya must have natural talent if he wants to learn how to use magic. Afterward, she gave some magic stones to him to see if he had natural talent or not. When Toya tried the magic stones, they were surprised that he had a natural talent for all elements of magic, which was a very rare case. Not only that, but Toya can use other people's special magic, like gate magic, which can make him go to any place he has visited before. The next day, Toya, Elze, and Lindsay took on a mission to deliver letters to the royal capital. They decided to stop in a city and rest for a day there. While walking through the city, they saw a fight between a female samurai against some bandits. However, they did not stay silent and helped the female samurai against the bandits and quickly defeated them. The female samurai named Kokono Yai turned out to be adventuring to strengthen her swordsmanship, and coincidentally Yai was on her way to the royal capital. Hearing that, Elze invited her to go with them because they were on their way to the royal capital. As they continued their journey, it was seen that Toya was learning some special magic that was in the magic book given by Lindsay. One of the magic he learned was called Long Sense, which was used to strengthen one's 5 senses. When he was using Long Sense magic, Toya suddenly smelled blood from a distance, so they rushed to the location. When Toya and the others arrived, they saw a horse carriage attacked by a summoner and some of his creatures. Seeing that, they fought the summoner and his creatures and defeated them easily. But it turns out that a servant named Rame is in the horse carriage and suffers from severe injuries. Fortunately, Toya manages to heal Rame by using the special magic he just learned. Besides that, it turned out that the horse-drawn carriage was delivering a woman named Sushi, commonly called Su, who was the daughter of a duke. Because of that, Toya and the others were asked to escort her to the royal capital. Not long after, they arrived at the royal capital, Alephis City. At the palace, Su's father, Alfred, thanked Toya and the others because they had rescued and escorted Su to the capital. It turned out that Alfred had a problem, so his wife, Ellen, has been blind since 5 years ago due to an illness, and healing magic can't heal her either. Hearing this, Toya tried to help by using a special magic called Recovery, and it managed to heal Ellen's eyes so that she could see again. Alfred felt very grateful for all the things that Toya had done. Because of that, he gave Toya and the others a gift of 40 platinum coins and 4 medals belonging to Alfred's family. After that, they continued their journey to complete their mission, which was to deliver a letter. After completing the mission, Toya and the others decided to take a short walk in the capital. Toya was seen buying a coat that could increase defense against magic attacks, and after everything was finished, they decided to return home. The next day, Toya and the others were on a mission to exterminate a demon named Dullahan. Fortunately, they can easily beat Dullahan because of their teamwork. At that place, Toya used his search magic to look for treasure or some kind of historical relic. Then he succeeded in detecting an object which was a former historical relic, and they went to the location he detected. At that place, Toya and the others found a wall filled with ancient writings. They found an earthen magic stone in that place. Elze told him to channel his magic energy into the magic stone, and then the wall in front of them opened and showed a room. Inside that room, there was a very mysterious object. When they approached it, it absorbed the light magic created by Lindsay and instead made the mysterious object rise into a monster that looked like a spider. Soon after, Toya and the others were forced to fight against the monster. Unfortunately, the monster could absorb their magical attacks into strength, while physical attacks did not affect him. Not only that, but this monster has extraordinary regeneration abilities that make Toya and the others very overwhelmed. Finally, Toya realizes the monster's weakness, then he uses a magic called a port to move the monster's core to be destroyed by Elze with his boost magic. In the end, they managed to defeat the spider monster. At first, Toya intended to go see Alfred and report about the historical relics they had just found, but it turned out that Alfred was rushing to go to the place of his brother named Tristan, who was the king of Belfast Kingdom. Alfred said his brother had been poisoned, so Toya decided to go with him. When they got there, Tristan's condition looked very bad. Fortunately, Toya managed to heal Tristan using his recovery magic. After Toya finished, someone explained why the king could be poisoned like that. So one day, Tristan was visited by a representative from the Mesmead Kingdom named Olga. Therefore, Tristan and the royal family welcomed Olga by inviting her to eat together. Then she gave a bottle of wine for him as a gift, but when Tristan drank the wine, he suddenly fainted and was poisoned. For this incident, Olga is currently detained by the kingdom for being a suspect. After hearing the story, Toya decided to look at the crime scene's location and concluded that the wine Olga brought did not contain any poison and said that the poison was in the glass used by Tristan and the person who prepared the glass was a noble named Balsa. From there, it can be seen that the culprit who poisoned Tristan was Balsa, not Olga. After everything was finished, the royal family thanked Toya for the help. Then suddenly, the royal princess named Yumina told her parents that she wanted Toya to be her husband. The reason is that he is very kind and can bring happiness to those around him. However, Toya said he couldn't marry someone he had just met, especially since they were still underage. Afterward, Yumina's parents decided to give Toya and Yumina 2 years to get to know each other better. After that, it will be decided whether they will get married or not. And from then on, they get engaged. Then she said she decided to join Toya's group. Sometime later, Toya and the others take on a mission to exterminate the ape monsters in the forest. Their goal in taking the mission was to find out what Yumina's fighting style was like. It turned out that she was a very powerful summoner, so they defeated the ape monsters easily. Afterward, Toya asked Yumina to teach him how to use summoning magic. Finally, he managed to summon a powerful tiger. Even the white tiger was nicknamed the White King. Soon after, Toya intends to make a contract with the white tiger. The white tiger gives a test to him to find out whether Toya deserves to be his master or not. In the test, Toya had to show how much magical energy he had. Of course, he could pass the test very easily because he did have a lot of magic energy compared to ordinary people. In the end, Toya successfully made a contract with the white tiger. He named the white tiger with the name Kohaku. After that, Kohaku changed his shape to be much smaller so that he wouldn't scare the people living in the city. One day, Tristan summoned Toya to the royal palace. There Tristan intends to give him a knighthood because of his services in helping solve the previous poison case. However, Toya refused to be given the knighthood, so Tristan decided to give him a house as a token of appreciation for his services. Soon after, Toya decided that all members of his group would live in the house, so they began to move to the new, very luxurious house. The next day, Toya employs several servants and workers to take care of his new home, and the butler he hired turns out to be a former servant of King Tristan. However, Raim has retired and decided to become a butler at his house. Another reason Raim wants to work for Toya is that he once saved the life of his brother Raim, who is currently a servant in Alfred's family. One day, Toya was visited by Sue and Alfred to give Toya and his group a mission. Alfred said that the Belfast Kingdom had recently allied with the Mesmead Kingdom, which is why they needed a place where the kings of the two kingdoms could discuss with each other. But if a king goes somewhere, it will be quite dangerous. Therefore, Toya was asked to go to Mesmead Kingdom to use gate magic from there to the Belfast Kingdom because his magic could only be used in places he had previously visited. Hearing that, Toya accepted the mission. The next day Toya and the others went to Mesmead Kingdom. They were accompanied by several bodyguards, including a group from Olga. Initially, their journey went very smoothly until one night, they accidentally saw a dragon flying in the sky. The dragon flew towards a village named Eld. Soon after, Toya and the others headed toward the village. But unfortunately, they were all too late because Eld's village had been completely destroyed by the dragon's fire. Toya then lures the dragon's attention to get away from the village, after which Toya uses his magic power to bring down the dragon, while Lindsay managed to cut off the dragon's 2 wings so he could not fly anymore. However, he went berserk and put all his strength into killing Toya and the others, making Toya overwhelmed. Suddenly, a mysterious knife flew and pierced the dragon's eye. Seeing that, Toya was confused about where the knife came from. He even didn't see anyone other than him and his friends in that place. Even so, he couldn't think further because he had to focus on fighting the dragon, and with the help of his friends, he finally managed to defeat the dragon. Suddenly, a red dragon appeared and approached Toya and the others. However, the red dragon did not intend to fight against them. The red dragon actually apologized because one of his relatives had made a mess in that place. When finished, he returned to his place, while Toya and the others returned to the village of Eld to help save the injured residents. The next day, Toya decided to give the corpse of the dragon that he had defeated earlier to the villagers of Eld. The goal is that the residents can sell the dragon's body parts so that the money earned can be used to repair the houses destroyed by the dragon's attack. However, the head of the Eld village, Salum, instead gave one of the dragon's fangs to Toya because his sword had been broken when he fought against the dragon yesterday. Afterward, Salum said that Toya could create a new weapon using the dragon's fangs. Then Salum returned a knife stuck in the dragon's eye, so Toya became even more sure that someone else had helped them in yesterday's fight. Unfortunately, he didn't know who and where that person was. After everything was done, Toya and the others continued their journey toward the capital of the Mismead Kingdom. The scene changed, showing Toya and the others arriving at the Mismead Kingdom's capital, Burge City. They met the king of the Mismead Kingdom named Jamaka. Afterward, Yumina gave him a letter from her father. However, Jamaka instead became interested in Toya when he heard that Toya had managed to defeat a dragon. Because of that, Jamaka challenged Toya to a one-on-one duel, and they were involved in a fierce battle. It turned out that Jamaka has a special magic called Excel, which can make the user move very quickly. That power made him succeed in pressing Toya, but Toya, who could use all the other people's special magic, could use Jamaka's Excel magic. Not only that, but Toya added Elze's boost magic to increase his physical strength so that he finally succeeded in turning things around and defeating Jamaka. At night, Jamaka throws a welcoming party for Toya and the others. After a while, Toya decides to sit down while unwinding. Suddenly, he sees a teddy bear named Paula who can move and talk. Paula then took Toya to the owner's place named Lean. Lean is a girl who is the head of a fairy tribe. Afterward, he asks Lean why Paula can move like a living creature, even though Paula is just an ordinary doll. Lean explains that she has a special magic called Program that magic can be used to give orders or programs to any inanimate object. After hearing her explanation, Toya could certainly imitate her program magic, which made Lean very surprised and curious. Shortly after, she intends to make Toya her student, but he rejects her offer. The next day, Toya intends to make a new weapon using the dragon fangs he defeated before. He made a gun and added program magic to the gun so that the gun could turn into a sword when needed. He named the gun Brunhild, and he made a gun for Lindsay and Yumina. After that, they walked around Burge City. Toya then detected that 2 people were following them, so he used Excel's magic to approach them. But they instead used light bombs to escape from Toya's pursuit, although in the end, he managed to catch them easily. Upon inspection, it turned out that they were Lapis and Cecile, who were maids at Toya's house. However, they both turned out to be spies for the king of Belfast, Tristan, who was assigned to care for his daughter, Yumina, so they always followed Toya and the others. Toya finally discovered that Cecile had thrown the knife into the dragon's eyes. After that, they both begged Toya not to reveal their identity to Yumina because if they were found out, Yumina would be very angry with her father. The next day, Toya used gate magic to go to the palace of Belfast Kingdom so that Tristan and Jamaka could finally discuss each other safely. This indicated that Toya's mission had been successful. After that, they decided to return to their homes. One day, Toya was seen going to buy some things, but on the way, he accidentally saw a small child being beaten up by 2 grown men. Seeing this, he beat the 2 men, then invited the little girl to eat together. Toya then discovers that the child's name is Rene, and her parent has died, so she is forced to become a thief to survive. Hearing this, he invited Rene to work as a maid at his house, but with the condition that she could not be a thief anymore. Then, she accepted the offer. One day, Lean and Paula came to Toya's house. Soon after, Lean took one of his students named Charlotte. She asked a few questions about the crystal spider monster that Toya had defeated before because it turned out that recently Lean had faced a similar monster, but the crystal monster that faced her was shaped like a snake, and the monster came from the cracks that appeared above the sky. After that, Lean said that in ancient times, a monster almost destroyed the world called Phrase. The description of Phrase is very similar to the crystal monster that Toya and the others previously fought, so she warns him to be more careful in the future. Soon after, Lean asks Toya's help to use gate magic to go to the Ishan Kingdom because she intends to research a ruin there. But the problem is that Toya has never been to the Ishan Kingdom, so he wouldn't use gate magic to get there. Lin said that magic called recall can be used to read other people's thoughts. With that magic, Toya didn't need to bother going to Ishin Kingdom. He only needed to read the minds of people who had gone there, and it turned out that Ishin Kingdom was where Yae came from. Therefore, Toya used recall magic to see Yae's memories about the Ishin Kingdom. After that, he could finally use gate magic to go to that place. It turned out that Ishin Kingdom was very similar to the country of feudal Japan. After that, they went to visit the Yae family's house. When they arrived, they saw Yae's father and brother fighting against Yamamoto Kansuke's troops. Hearing that, Toya and the others went to the battle's location and met Yae's brother, Jutaro. Right now, their condition was desperate because they were surrounded by thousands of troops wearing mysterious masks. Yet, as usual, Toya managed to finish off all his enemies easily. After that, Yae's father said that the leader of the enemy troops, Kansuke, seemed to use an artifact that could control corpses, so Kansuke could deploy thousands of masked troops who had invaded their headquarters, which were none other than corpses. Therefore, they must finish off Kansuke first, so he can't control the masked troops. Soon after, Toya and Lin decided to go to the enemy base. They were accompanied by a woman named Tsubaki and Takeda's three main generals. When they arrived at Kansuke's place, Kansuke used his power to control Takeda's corpse, so the three generals hesitated to fight against Takeda. But Toya didn't hesitate to attack Takeda because he didn't have any relationship with Takeda, so Takeda's corpse was defeated. Soon after, Kansuke put the artifact in his eye. He explained the effect of the artifact that made him able to control the undead troops and made him could live forever. However, Toya uses apport magic to move the artifact, then he destroys the artifact with his gun, so Kansuke is finally defeated. After everything was done, Toya asked Yae's father about the location of Naruya's ruins. Then he said that the ruins were under the sea. Hearing that, Toya and the others said goodbye to Yae's family to go there. When he got there, Toya decided to dive and search under the sea. He managed to find the location of Naruya's ruin, but he was out of breath to look into it, so he was forced to return to the sea's surface and find another way. After that, Kohaku suggested to Toya to use summoning magic and summon Black King, a divine beast that is very good at controlling water, so he could help Toya breathe underwater. Hearing this, Toya decided to follow Kohaku's advice and managed to summon Black King, who turned out to be a snake and a turtle. Toya then said that he wanted to form a contract with the two of them. However, to do that, he had to pass the test given by Black King. The test is he has to fight against them, and if he can survive until the afternoon, he is declared to have passed the test. The battle between Toya and Black King finally begins. He used slip magic on Black King, then used program magic so that the slip magic he cast could continue to repeat, thus making Black King slip continuously. Finally, Black King decided to give up and agreed to make a contract with Toya. Afterward, he gave the name Kokuyo to the snake and the name Songo to the turtle, and he made a contract with them. After that, Toya continued to research Naruya's ruins, and thanks to the help of Kokuyo and Songo, he could now breathe freely under the sea. Inside the ruins, he found a kind of altar surrounded by 6 pillars. Then he channeled his magical energy into the 6 pillars and was sent to a very mysterious place. At that place, Toya was greeted by a woman named Francesca, and strangely she did not wear pants or a skirt but only wore a pair of panties. Seeing that made him tell Francesca to wear something so she could cover her bottom. Afterward, Francesca explained that they were in the Garden of Babylon, an island that floats in the sky. The park was created by a professor named Regina Babylon. It turned out that Francesca is an android robot created by Professor Regina, and she was assigned to take care of the garden since 5,000 years ago. Francesca said that Toya is suitable for the new garden owner because he can use magic from all elements, just like Professor Regina in the past. Besides that, he asked Francesca to wear a skirt the first time they met. It shows that Toya has a good character, so he is a very suitable person to be the heir of the Babylon garden. Hearing this, Toya agreed to become the heir of the garden, and when finished, he called his other friends to go there. At that place, Yumina and the other girls decided to go for a walk because she wanted to discuss their relationship with Toya. Actually, Elze, Linze, and Yae liked Toya, but they weren't like Yumina, who dared to confess her feelings to him. Even though Yumina didn't have a problem if Toya had more than one wife, in that world, polygamy was a very normal thing. However, the three of them were still very embarrassed to express their feelings for Toya. On the other hand, Toya, Lin, and Francesca were seen in a pavilion. Francesca then tells him that the garden is just one of several floating islands created by Professor Regina. Initially, all the islands merged into one, but for some reason, they were all separated into several different places. At the moment, Francesca cannot contact the other androids guarding the other islands. Hearing her story, Toya becomes interested in finding another island of Babylon. But they have to find another teleportation circle like the one in Naruya's ruins. To do that, Francesca must complete the registration for Toya so that he officially becomes the park owner, and the registration process is by kissing. This needs to be done so that Francesca can record Toya's genetic information. When the girls saw Toya kissing Francesca, they became jealous, and Lindsay got up the courage to confess her feelings to him and kissed him right away. That night, Yumina came to Toya's room and asked how he felt about Lindsay. She said that it would be okay if Toya had several wives. Hearing that, he said that he actually liked Lindsay, just like he liked Yumina. Since then, he has finally gotten 2 fiancées. The next day, Elze and Yae met Toya to challenge him to a fight. They said that if they won, Toya had to comply with one request from them, but if they lost, they would not complain about Lindsay being his fiancée. At first, Toya refuses to fight them, but Elze and Yae force him so that he can't refuse. The battle between Elze and Yae against Toya begins, and he can easily push them down. However, Toya didn't want to hurt Elze and Yae, so he was caught off guard and made them manage to beat him. Under their agreement at the beginning of the match, Toya must grant one wish from them. Afterward, Elze and Yae ask that they could become Toya's fiancé, just like Yumina and Lindsay. Deep down, Toya likes them, but he asks for a moment to think first because he is afraid that he can't make all his wives happy, especially now that he has 4 girls who want to be his wives. When Toya was thinking, suddenly Francesca came to him and said that Professor Regina had left a message for the heir of the garden. In the message, she said that she has a tool to see the future, and with that tool, she can know that Toya is the person who will be her heir. However, there was a time when Professor Regina couldn't see into the future, and the cause of all of that was the appearance of the phrase monster that had destroyed part of humanity in the past. One day, the phrase monster suddenly disappeared so that humanity was saved, but at this time, he reappeared and threatened the world's safety. Therefore, Professor Regina gave all of her research results to Toya, so he could use them to fight the phrase monsters. After that, Toya met God, who had sent him to another world. He asks God for advice about his relationship with the girls who like him. God then called the goddess of love to advise him. After that, she said that as long as they love each other, there's nothing to worry about, so Toya just needs to follow his heart. After hearing the advice from the goddess of love, Toya can finally decide on matters of love. This anime closes by showing Toya, who is meeting his 4 girls. He said that he still doesn't want to get married, but if they were willing to wait, he would marry all of them in the future. The anime ends. This anime teaches us to always do good and to help others like Toya. If we do that, we might get lots of girls like him.